What's up, everybody? Landry here, fitness director at Crossgates Family Fitness, and today we are going to be talking about mobility for sports. So, obviously, being an athlete, one of the most important parts is being mobile, but we're going to talk about a few other things that are super important that goes along with mobility, being flexibility and stability. So, mobility is kind of a word that gets tossed around a lot, but it's got some deeper meaning to it and what all is involved in mobility. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually go through a full warm-up into your workout. So for some people, this could be exercises that would actually be part of your workout, depending on your fitness level or ability level. For some people, it might just be warm-up exercises. Obviously, what we're going to do today is going to take a while. So I don't normally do all of these every single workout, but I mix and match depending on if I'm working with a client, what areas they need to focus on. Okay? So the main areas that we focus on from a mobility standpoint are the ankles, hips, and the thoracic spine. That's kind of our main areas that we tend to target. Obviously, there's a lot more to that, but the main reason that we focus on those areas is because those are what we call mobile joints. So we use something called the joint-by-joint approach. And the joint-by-joint approach is just a series of joints starting from the ground, working our way up, and it alternates between stable joints and mobile joints. And if you were here in my core strengthening seminar yesterday, I talked about how the core, your abs and your lower back, is a stable area, and your hips being a mobile area. We also need a little bit of stability there as well. We need to make sure the glutes are firing, but then also making sure that your thoracic spine is mobile so you can turn. So if you are a golfer, a baseball player, a tennis player, even pickleball, any of those things where rotation is heavily involved, and you'd even be surprised that even throwing athletes still need that thoracic spine. Okay? This is going to be super, super important for you, okay? Because you want to make sure that you are mobile in the ankles, hips, and shoulders. So that's going to be the main areas that we target. The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between flexibility, mobility, and stability. Okay? And I'm going to keep it really, really basic today. Flexibility, we tend to be talking in terms of muscle and muscle length. For mobility, we're tending to be talking about the joint itself and how that joint moves and the freedom of movement that we have in that joint. And then we have stability, which I did a seminar a while back. If you listen to that, remember, stability is balance, stability is strength. All of those terms mean the same thing to me. It's all strength. So stability is strength and your ability to control movement through that joint. Okay? So the thing with stability, mobility, and flexibility is that they're all interdependent on each other. Okay? So you can lack mobility because you lack flexibility. You can lack flexibility because you lack mobility. And and it all goes hand in hand with stability as well. You can lack stability or strength because of your lack of mobility or flexibility. So we need to make sure that we're working all three of those things. And a lot of people fail to do that. So when I like to stretch, I call it active stretching because I want to make sure that you're contracting muscles on the opposite side to create a stretch on the side that you're trying to focus on. So a good example of this, just keeping it really simple, is if I flex my bicep, which strength, I actually have to relax my tricep. So when I flex my bicep, my tricep is actually getting a stretch, right? And vice versa. When I contract my tricep, my bicep is stretching, okay? So if I wanted to do a bicep stretch, I would need to and want to contract my tricep as much as I can. The other reason that this is super important is because we want what we call in-range stability. The people who are most likely to get injured are people who are hyperflexible or have too much mobility. And the reason is because they have all of this range of motion, but tend to not be able to control it with adequate strength to make sure that they're stable in those big, deep ranges. Okay? So we're going to get into stretch position where we take you to your in range, and then I'm going to have you contract muscles so that you create in-range stability. Okay? So we're going to start with what I love starting with. My favorite part of my entire workout is foam rolling. Okay? So what we're going to do in our warm-up or mobility work is foam roll, stretch, mobility, and then stabilize. Okay? And we're going to go in that order. So we want to foam roll first because we want to make sure that we're lubricating the fascia and the tissue, warming it up. Okay? Getting those juices flowing. Then we want to stretch, try to elongate the muscle. We also get a little, it's hard to kind of differentiate stretching and mobility because they kind of do the same thing at the same time or work together at the same time. But then we want to activate and turn on all of those things. So I like to call foam rolling, stretching, and mobility work working or opening up an opportunity to gain more strength and bigger ranges of motion. Okay, so we're trying to open up that window of opportunity, get more range of motion, and then we want to stack strength on top of that range of motion. Okay? So we're going to go through just a few foam rolls of areas that most people tend to be really tight in. Okay? So we have these foam rollers at all of the locations. The blue golden ones. We also have the long cylinder black ones. I don't care which foam roller you use. I love these personally, but it really doesn't matter. You just want something that has a little bit of density to it, that's not too soft. But if you start this and it is, you might need to grab something that's a little bit softer, because you don't want to take this over like a 6 out of 10 on the pain scale. It's not going to be comfortable at first. It's going to get better as you go, but you don't want it to be where you have to hold your breath and that you're tensing up, because then we're actually not getting that fascia to relax. Okay, so we're going to start. I got Raquel here. She's going to be going with me as well. We're going to start with the hamstrings. It's an area that most people tend to be tight in. We're going to put that foam roller right on the back of our thighs. We're going to lift our butt up, and we're just rolling from just above our knee up towards our butt cheeks. And you want to spend about 20 to 30 seconds on each area. So it doesn't need to be, a 30-minute foam rolling session. It can be if that's part of your recovery day. But really, we're just looking for 20 to 30 seconds on each spot. From there, we're going to go up to the glutes. We're going to sit on that foam roller. And I'm going to turn to the side just a little bit so you can see it's right across my tailbone. I'm going to cross my right leg over. I'm going to grab that shin with the opposite hand. So my right leg is crossed, left hand on top. And I'm going to roll to my right butt cheek. So I want to get as far to the side of my butt cheek as I can. Trying to get that hip rotator. And usually a little bit closer to your lower back is where you're going to hold the most tension. Okay? And then from there, you're just going to switch it over. We're going to go left leg on top. We're going to roll to the left butt cheek. And notice when I'm on this side, my other butt cheek is completely off that foam roller, and I'm as much as I can onto my left side. You'll roll that for about 20 to 30 seconds, and then we're going to go to another area. I'm going to turn so y'all can see me a little bit better, and we're going to go to the lower back. So this is one where a lot of people will hold tension. So I'm going to show you an easier way, harder way. Easier, keep the hands down, and we want just a very small of your back. So from the tailbone up about 6 inches, and just rocking back and forth. If that doesn't feel too bad, you can go hands on the knees and put a little bit more pressure on there. Also get a little bit of an ab workout. And then from there, you're going to give yourself a really big hug, wrapping those arms around you. Then we're going to roll the upper back. So from the top of the shoulders all the way to the middle of your back, and just rocking back and forth. You can even roll to the side, put a little more pressure on one side versus the other. Good. And then the last one we're going to do today is going to be our quad muscles, which is the front of our thighs. So we're going to go foam roller just in front of our knees. We're going to kind of just fold over into a plank on top of it. And we're going from just above our knees up towards our hips. Most of that tension is probably going to be closer to your knee. You just want to make sure you're not rolling over your knee joint. Rocking back and forth. Good. So next thing we're going to do is what's called a 90-90 stretch. So now we're getting into our flexibility and mobility part. Okay, so the 90-90 stretch, I'm going to stay turned to the side so you can see it a little bit better. But you're going to go create 90-degree angles with your knees. So I love when you use a mat because you can make sure that you're perfectly in line so that your heel, knee, and shin bone are all along that edge. You should have a perfect rectangle right here. Okay? So we're going to be working on external rotation of this front hip. So I'm going to grab my foot with that hand. My other hand's going to go outside the knee. I'm going to get up as tall as I can. And I'm not trying to just collapse over my knee. I'm actually thinking about trying to, if I had a string attached to my belly button and someone was pulling my belly button forward, so I'm going to take a big deep breath in. As I do that, I'm driving this knee into the ground. Exhale. And reach. Get to that end range. Take another big deep breath in. Remember to drive that front knee into the ground as you inhale. Exhale. Try to get just a little bit further. And you want to do about 3 to 5 breaths in this position. Then we're going to take that hand that's on your foot and we're just going to turn it right behind you. Okay? So we're going to get up nice and tall. We're going to make sure that we're driving both knees into the ground as we inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to turn those shoulders towards that back foot. Good. Another big deep breath in. Push those knees into the ground. Exhale. Again, 3 to 5 deep breaths, and then you would just switch it over. And you swing the legs over to the other side. Again, make sure you have that perfect rectangle right here. Okay? Heel, knee, heel, all in line. And then you would just restart in the same position on the other side. So grabbing that foot, grabbing that hand. Remember, 3 to 5 breaths, making sure you're pulling that belly button forward and driving that knee into the ground. Okay? As you inhale. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to a Spider-Man stretch. Okay? So for a Spider-Man stretch, there's a few ways to get in and out of this stretch. I find the easiest way is to start on both knees, take one foot, reach it out in front of you, and you want it to reach a little bit further than 90 degrees. So most people kind of start here. I want you to reach a little bit further, and all you're going to do is take that same hand, you're going to grab the foot from the inside, making sure the knee is on the outside. Other hand's going to go down, and then we're going to drive our hips forward towards our hands, and I'm really focusing on trying to squeeze this butt cheek of that back leg, because if I squeeze this glute, I'm going to get more stretch in my hip flexor on the front side. So I'm driving my hips forward, squeezing that right butt cheek really tight. Exhale. And try to get a little bit more range of motion every time I exhale. The other thing that you can add to this position is some thoracic spine mobility. So I'm going to take my hand that's on my foot, I'm going to reach it underneath my other hand, take a big deep breath in. I'm still driving this hip forward. As I exhale, I'm going to turn out and I'm going to follow that hand to the ceiling. Big exhale, and then come back down. Another big inhale. Still driving this hip forward, squeezing that butt cheek. Exhale. Good. And again, 3 to 5 breaths. So I like to say 3 to 5 breaths here, 3 to 5 breaths here, and then you would just simply switch sides and go to the other foot. Other foot would go out, same thing, grabbing the inside of that foot, other hand is down, drive the hips forward, okay? 3 to 5 breaths, and then 3 to 5 breaths on the T-spine mobility, okay? The next one, more for the groin, okay? Groin, a little bit of hamstring, so I call this straight leg adductor stretch. So we're going to go hands and knees. Okay, we'll show this one from a few different angles, but you're going to start hands and knees. Knees are going to get a little wide to start, and then all you're going to do is shoot that foot out. Make sure it's flat on the ground, so not here, flat on the ground. Before I start pushing my butt back, I want to flex this quad muscle as tight as I can, like you're trying to show it off. So flex it really tight, lock that knee out, and then as you exhale, I'm pushing my butt back. Okay? So let me show you from a side view. So knees are wide, shoot that foot out, okay? Flex this quad, lock that knee, and then as I exhale, okay? If I need to feel the stretch more, I can just move that foot further out, or if it's too much, I can move it closer to me to kind of take a little bit of stress off that groin if it's a little too tight. But you only want to go back as far as you can, keeping your spine in a neutral position. So if you're here, and you're just kind of dumping here and rounding the back, not a good position. We want to make sure we're controlling that pelvis, keeping the lower back in a good position, and sinking back, okay? The next one we're going to go into is going to be a leg lower. So we're really starting to get into some mobility drills here, and it's going to slowly blend into our activation drills. So the first one we're going to do is a leg lower pattern. So if this is a difficult exercise for you, one thing you can do is always grab a big band, or if you have like a stretching strap, you can use a stretching strap to put around one foot. But we're going to start with both legs up, big deep breath in. As you exhale, you're going to lower one leg to the ground, nice and slow. Maintaining your lower back flat to the ground. Come back up. Inhale, and then exhale, other side. Again, like I said, if this is difficult for you, you can use a stretching strap or a band, and you would just do one side for 3 to 5 reps, or you can alternate and go 3 to 5 reps without a band, okay? Next, we're going to flip over. Now we're going to start working a little bit more on our thoracic spine again. So for this one, turn to the side just a little bit so you can see, but I want to sit back to my feet as much as I can with my knees nice and wide. My elbows are going to go just inside of my knees, okay? If this bothers your knees, by the way, you can take a foam roller and sit back on the foam roller right here with the toes up. Sometimes that helps you if you have a little bit of pressure in the knees. But I want knees wide, elbows inside the knees. We're going to take one of our hands, we're going to put it behind our head. We're going to take a big deep breath in. As we exhale, we're going to follow that elbow to the ceiling. Come back down, take a big deep breath. Exhale. And we're trying to get as much shoulder turn as we can in that drill. Every single time you exhale, you're trying to fight for every centimeter you can get. Again, 3 to 5 breaths on one side, and then I would simply switch and go 3 to 5 breaths on the other side. Okay? The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start getting the glutes activated. So, first one we're going to do is just a basic hip lift. Okay? So, I want to start by teaching a 2-leg version. Generally, I love more so going to a single leg, but I want to make sure you're doing your 2-leg version perfect before we move to that 1 leg, okay? So I want heels kind of close to the butt, so not out here, okay? Toes are up, and then on your back, the first thing I want you to do is press your lower back flat to the ground, okay? So we engage those abs, right? Hold that lower back stable, and then I want you to think about rolling your pelvis off the ground. So you're going to lift just your tailbone up, and then once your tailbone is up, you're going to slowly roll up, squeezing the glutes tight, and then you're going to roll back down. So the tailbone is the last thing to touch. So I feel my middle of my back, then my lower back, and then my tailbone. Okay? And then arch up, and then I'm going to reset. Press down, tailbone up, lower back up, middle back up. And then the opposite on the way down. Middle back touches, lower back touches, tailbone touches. Okay? So, once you've mastered that, you're feeling the glutes, you might feel a little bit in the hamstrings. You should not feel it in your lower back. If you are, it's probably because you're losing that ab contraction as you roll up, and you're getting into this arched position, which we don't want. Okay? So making sure our core is in a really good position. Okay? From there, we're going to go single leg. So you can grab one knee, hug it to the chest, and I'm still thinking about the same thing. I want my tailbone to come off the ground first. So I'm going to roll up, and then I'm going to roll back down. Okay? And we're just trying to get all of this backside turned on. Okay? Good. And again, we're going to go 3 to 5 reps on each side. The next thing that I like to do is get our core turned on. So before we start getting up on our feet and getting really dynamic, core is super important. Again, if you were in my core seminar yesterday or on Wednesday, I talked about how the glutes are king, abs are queen, right? So we want to make sure we have really strong glutes that they're turned on, but our core is what transfers the energy from the ground up. So if I am swinging a golf club, right, or if I'm swinging a tennis racket, or if I'm swinging a baseball bat, I can have really strong legs, but if my core can't transfer that power and that energy from my legs to my upper body, that's where I'm going to lose power and lose speed if I can't transfer. Okay, so we need to make sure this is turned on. This also helps hold the hips in neutral positions while we go through those motions. So I did this drill in my seminars on Wednesday and yesterday, and we're going to do it again today because it's important. Okay, so we're going to do bear crawl holds, and I would add this into your warm up, doing 3 to 5 second, 5 to 10 second holds 3 to 5 times. Okay, so we're going to start by arching the lower back down. Remember, I don't want that motion just coming from the shoulders, okay? I want it to come just from my pelvis. Okay, so I'm tucking my hips. Tuck the hips, hover the knees, big deep breath in, blow it out, and then go back down. Drop the knees, arch the lower back, tuck it under, hover, big deep breath in, exhale, good. We would do that 3 to 5 times, making sure those abs are turned on, right? Now, we're going to start going into some active stuff, okay? So getting you moving. So we're going to move that mat to the side. First one we're going to do is going to be a lateral squat, okay? Lateral squat. So feet, they're going to go really wide, almost uncomfortably wide. So a lot of times when I tell people to get their feet wide, they're kind of like this. I'm going to show you why I don't want that. Because we're going to go into a lateral squat, and they kind of do this. you can notice my hip is on the outside of my foot, which we don't want. Typically bad for the knees, okay? So we want to make sure those feet are nice and wide. And I just want to imagine that there's a chair behind my right heel, and I'm just going to try to sit my butt into that that chair behind my right heel. Keeping this knee locked, come back up, then I'm going to alternate sides. Here, and back up, okay? Again, 3 to 5 on each side, reaching those hands forward, trying to get my butt out to the side. Next, we're going to go single leg deadlift, okay? So, one foot on the ground, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see a side view version of it, but left foot is on the ground, slight bend in that knee, and I'm just reaching forward, trying to get as long as I possibly can, and coming back up. What I don't want is this hip to turn open, so I'm trying to keep my pelvis neutral. So, one way you can tell if your pelvis is neutral when you're doing this exercise is put a stick right across your tailbone, okay? When I'm doing this drill, if I go back and I turn that outside hip open, you can see that my stick starts to turn, right? So I want to make sure that I'm keeping neutral pelvis, big reach, come back up, right? If that is difficult for you, if this exercise just by itself with the reach is difficult, you can take a stick, put it in the hand of the leg that's going back. So if my right leg is reaching back, my right hand has the stick, it's going to be out in front, and all I'm going to do is use it for a little bit of stability. Okay, so I'm not hanging on for dear life. All right, it's just a few fingers on that stick for some added stability, and then coming back up. Sometimes if that's even difficult, you can take 2 sticks, like you have skis, and here, and that's okay. As you progress and get stronger, go to 1, and then go to none, okay? So, single leg deadlifts, or reaching single leg deadlifts, okay? That's going to help start getting into that single leg stuff, getting the hips turned on. The next one we're going to do is a toe touch the squat. So, if you are someone that struggles with ankle mobility or squatting very deep, you can use some heel lifts, okay? By putting your feet up, or your heels up on, you can use like a 5 or a 10-pound plate, okay? You can use a piece of 2x4 or a 1x4, a book, something that will lift you up about 1 to 2 inches off the ground. If you can go without, that's great too. What we're going to do is a toe touch the squat, okay? So I'm going to squat down, I'm going to grab underneath my toes. From there, while I hang on, I'm going to try to straighten my legs out as much as I can. Feeling a good hamstring stretch. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see the side view versus Raquel. So here, and then I'm going to pull myself down into that squat, okay? Getting my elbows on the insides of my knees. Hands are going to go together. I'm going to try to pry my knees open. Try to get my shoulders back, chest out. Good. And then we're going to go both arms up. And then we're going to squat up. Good. And then we're going to do the same thing. Squat down, grab the toes, butt to the air. Okay? Feeling those hamstrings stretch for a second. Pull yourself down into that squat. Prying the knees open to try to open the hips. Arms up. Squat up. Okay? So like I said, if you have a difficulty getting down, you can go feet out a little bit wider, you can turn the toes out a little bit, or you can go heels up. Most people, when I start with them, are going to be heels elevated when they start with this. Okay? Next up, we're going to go, you guys should keep that, okay? We're going to go, now we're trying to add some stability into rotation, okay? So this is one of my favorite ones for swing athletes, whether you're golf, tennis, baseball, it doesn't matter, okay? Because we're going to try to rotate the chest as we stabilize the hips, okay? So the first one we're going to do, we're going to have left foot forward, right toe is back, heels off the ground, stick is right across our chest. We're going to turn as far as we can to the left. And then we're going to try to reach that stick as we try to pull it apart. So I'm trying to rip that stick apart with my hands. Come back to the chest. Here. Now we're going to go the opposite way. So we're going to turn. Good. You might start to feel yourself lose balance. I'm trying to actively pull that stick away as I reach it. So I'm turning on my upper back muscles. Get my thoracic spine to open up. Coming back. And you're only turning as much as you can. So if your turn is here to here, that's okay. Only turn as much as you can, maintaining your balance. Okay? Then you switch it up and go to the other side. If you wanted to make this harder, you can go other foot off the ground, and you can go single leg. Okay? You can also take a TheraBand or a long band, or you can even take, we have like the little weighted logs upstairs or or on all of our fitness floors, you can use that where it has a little bit of weight. You can take a med ball, like a 4 to 8 pound medicine ball, and do the same thing, where as you turn, let me show you this side, that as you turn, you would just reach that medicine ball. And you'll find that it's going to start to turn on the abs, turn on the hips, getting all of those things working together. Okay? The next thing we do is we start moving. Okay? So more of our active dynamic warm-up. You can put that right there, okay? Would just be knee pulls, okay? So first thing we start with is walking, and we're just grabbing that knee, hugging it to the chest, trying to keep that bottom leg locked out. Grab the knee, hugging it up. So now we're getting a little bit of balance, a little bit of dynamic stretching, right? And getting warmed up. From there, I like to go leg cradles, which is over the ankle, under the knee, right? Working on balance, hugging it up. Take a couple steps if you need to regain your balance, over the ankle, under the knee, hugging it up nice and tall, okay? Then we're going to go heel to toe in the reach, okay? So, grabbing the foot, sliding the knee on the ground, okay? So this is very similar to our reach and single leg deadlift we did earlier. We're just adding in a little bit of a quad stretch, right? Again, if you need to take a few steps to regain your balance, slide bend, big reach, okay? And then lastly, toe kicks. So really getting those hamstrings warmed up. Okay, so my left hand is out, I'm kicking with my right foot, and snapping it back. Kick, snap. Okay? So what we went through today was a bunch of stuff that, again, works on foam rolling, getting the tissue warmed up, primed, ready to go, getting it lubricated, getting into some stretching and mobility work, so that you're getting those muscles lengthened, those joints lubricated and working and moving the way they're supposed to. And then again, the most important part is stacking stability and strength on top of it. So a lot of times people will ask me, when should I do all of this stuff? It's great to do it all the time. It's great to do it on your active recovery days. Okay? It's great to do it after your workouts. But I would say it's most important to do it before your workout. So a lot of times when people say, oh yeah, I foam roll after every workout to limit my soreness. Yes, that does help. But remember, the foam roller can be a great tool to open up that window of opportunity. Stretching prior to your workout opens up a window of opportunity to strength train in bigger ranges of motion, which is going to limit your risk of injury by making sure that you have in-range stability. Being strong when you're in your deepest ranges of motion, right? So, making sure before your workouts, foam rolling, stretching, mobility, active warm-up, and then stacking as much strength on top of that as you can. And you're going to make sure that your body's feeling really good. Make sure you're moving properly and making sure you're getting those big turns so you can crush whatever ball you're using. Golf balls, tennis balls, baseballs, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're getting it as hard as you can. So if you have any more questions about this or you want to get some hands-on work with one of our trainers, please reach out to us, to our front desk. If you see one of the trainers, stop and ask them. All of them are going to be able to help you with some of this stuff. Because sometimes getting our hands on you and working with you will help make sure that you're getting into the right positions, you're using the right muscles, and you're getting the most out of your warm-up. Okay?